Well, as Shelley said, I'm not Rob Satloff. I'm sure he really wishes he were here and not sitting in the turnpike someplace. But here we all are. Somehow, all of us made it. And, you know, I stand here right now with a really nice task, because I'm about to introduce a woman who deserves the tribute that we're going to give her tonight. You know, for more than a decade, these dinners have been designed to honor the scholar-statesmen who promote American interests in the pursuit of security and peace, but also to recognize those far-seeing patrons of the Washington Institute who have done so much to ensure the health and the vitality of the Washington Institute. Over the years, I think we've been blessed by having a remarkable group of people that we've been able to honor. And I have to say, in the case of Joan and her late husband, Mike, they were among the original supporters of the Institute. Rob actually has a piece of paper in his desk that lists those who were the initial contributors to the Washington Institute, and Mike and Joan were among those 35 years ago. That was even before my time. You know, Mike was a figure who was beloved by all those who knew him. He had a magnetic personality. He was hugely successful in the textile business. But he was not just a man of action, he was also a man of ideas. And he loved the briefings from the Washington Institute, whether they were direct or over the phone. And this was something that, in many ways, I think shaped his approach to a lot of the things that were important to him in life. I think Mike and Joan have had an abiding love for this country, an abiding love for their community, a deep sense of responsibility to do and make a difference in the world. I think in Joan's case, you know, I've spent a lot of time with you over the years, and your commitment to Tikkun Olam, to mend the world, is something that I think from the very first time I met you came through very clearly. I've always felt that you had a bedrock that shaped your approach to things. It started with your family, your late son, David, your son, Doug, Stephanie. Did they make it, actually? All right, so Doug is changing, which is only appropriate. Stephanie's here. There are 5 grandchildren who are scattered around not only this country, but one is in Australia, so they're here at least in spirit. That bedrock, I think, is something that helped to be your point of departure as you thought about what you could do to make a difference in the world. You've had a passion with the Washington Institute for 35 years, but you've had a lifelong passion for the Women International Zionist Organization, which, for those who don't know, it devotes an awful lot of its effort, its attention, its resources to social welfare projects within Israel, and especially to dealing with kids who may come from less fortunate backgrounds, providing educational opportunities for them. And Joan has made this her life's work. She's actually the national vice president of the USA chapter of this. She and Mike memorialized David by building the David R. Kahn Sports Complex in near Hamelech in Israel, which is also connected to a youth village. So you see a kind of pattern here. You see someone who cares about this country, cares about doing the right things in the world. She isn't limited only to her support for Jewish or Israeli causes. She has served as the president of Women for Women at the United Nations. has been dedicated to the American Friends of the Louvre for many years, and later this month, she's actually going to receive the equivalent of the knighthood from the French Republic. I have no doubt she will not be part of anybody's tweets, but she's highly appreciated by the French. You know, what's interesting is that with all the things that Joan has done over the years, she and Mike remain very much committed to the Washington Institute. And a few years ago, they established the David Kahn and the Douglas Kahn Fellowship for Middle East Security. And that supports our outstanding director for Military and Security Studies, Mike Eisenstadt. So on behalf of the Institute and on behalf of Rod Satloff, wherever he may be, I want to express our collective gratitude to Joan and to her family for everything they've done for the Institute and for everything they do to make the world a better place. Joan, come on up. And Stephanie, you want to come up as well? Okay, without Doug? If Doug makes it, he can, he didn't have to change. It was fine. Okay. I heard he came in his basketball shorts, so I thought it was fine. So, okay, Joan.
Wait, Dennis, is this okay for me? I can't see a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm setting the bar too high to be doing this in rhyme, but the Washington Institute sets it high every year, every way, every time. I'm honored to share the dais tonight with two gentlemen of renown, a four-star general and ex-DCI. I'm more secure when they're in town. There's a great deal of freedom when choosing a cause. How does one make the case? Which one impacts the world at large and makes it a better place? The Washington Institute had it all, with a mission that was rare. Experts addressing the Middle East, bringing scholarship to bear. So I made the choice to become a part of these core ideals, and I'm proud. Security, stability, equality, and peace, to these I am avowed. For over 35 years, Mike and I have supported the Institute. Now is the time to say thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this wise, unique, and critically important mission. Thank you.
Joan, it's okay, I don't think I've broken your award.
Ah, sorry. Oh, well.
I didn't know that it came in two pieces.
Ready?
He made it.
Hey, Dennis, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you.
So, here is an amazing award, and we present it to you with great gratitude and really with deep appreciation for everything you've done for the Institute. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think you have to got to hold the globe. Okay.
Doug? I can't see a thing.
What a crowd, wow, even in this terrible weather. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jim Schreiber, and proud to be the newly elected chairman of the Washington Institute. People clapping are all my many children. As you've heard from Dennis, the Institute isn't just a think tank. It's an organization that has impact. It actually makes a positive difference and does so consistently in material ways. That's why I'm fond of calling it a think and do tank, because it does. There's a dispute, though. Jay Bernstein thinks he came up with that characterization, but I think I came up with it. And since I have the microphone, I came up with it. This year, the Institute will produce literally hundreds of policy documents, meet with thousands of government officials who make and implement U.S. policy, and have millions, listen to this, millions of readers around the world. And I'm not exaggerating, millions of followers on our website. It's all too easy to just hear the statistics and forget the people who produce them. But behind every paper, every policy recommendation, every newspaper op-ed is an individual who has invested a lifetime studying the languages and the politics of the Middle East. And whether they stood up to Hezbollah like Haneen Gadar, who was indicted and convicted and acquitted ultimately, an incredibly brave woman, or overcame the hardships to become a Fulbright Fellow in Iraq like Bilal Wahab, who's Kurdish and one of our fellows, or served as a journalist in revolutionary Iran like Simon Henderson, or helped investigate the perpetrators of 9/11 as FBI professional analyst Matt Leavitt. They have all demonstrated incredible fortitude in the face of adversity, real courage, and most importantly, they had the courage to speak truth to power. As staff members of the Institute, our scholars continue to speak truth to power. For the past decade, the Institute has been proud to honor leaders who have made a career of speaking truth to power, secretaries of state and defense, national security advisors, senior diplomats, and military leaders. Sometimes we have even honored the people who ultimately wielded power themselves. One president, one British prime minister, and one prime minister of Israel. Tonight, we gather less than 2 weeks after a bitter midterm election in this country, in which red America got redder, sadly, and blue America, sadly, got bluer. It is fitting, therefore, that we honor two men tonight whose careers have transcended the partisan divide, leaders who were each chosen by presidents of both parties to lead our most secret intelligence agencies. In so doing, we honor two leaders who understood that behind every piece of intelligence, every policy directive, every field operation are men and women who put their lives at risk for the welfare of their fellow Americans. Michael Hayden and George Tenet directed these brave men and women during some of the most difficult days of the last half-century. Can we hold up these medals? And on behalf of the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, it gives me great pleasure to award you both and each of you our Scholar-Statesman Medal. Michael?